Hello and welcome to episode 53 of the Refining Rhetoric podcast. Today we are starting a short series on colleges, which this is the perfect time if you have a rising junior or senior, you want to begin your college search. So be sure to listen in for the next 4 weeks or so. And we talked to Cedarville President Dr. White today, and you're going to enjoy it. So let's jump in.
Classical Conversation Studios presents Refining Rhetoric with CEO Robert Bortons, a podcast where faith, business, politics, and classical education meet. Join us as we use the classical tools of rhetoric to seek truth in every arena of life.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Refining Rhetoric. Today my guest is Dr. Thomas White. Dr. White has served for almost 10 years as the 10th president of Cedarville University, a private Christian college located in Ohio. Prior to becoming president of Cedarville, Dr. White served over a decade in a variety of administrative, teaching, leadership, and research roles. He and his wife, Joy, who he met at Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary in North Carolina, which I think is just about an hour up the road from us. They've been married over 20 years. Congratulations, and they have 2 wonderful children. Dr. White, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Now, one of the things that we do at this podcast is explore what is truth, and to be able to search for something, we have to know what it is. So how do you define truth?
So the first thing that comes to my mind is Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but by him. So
Amen.
I have a PhD in theology. I'm always going to go back to Scripture. It's always going to be about the Bible. It's inerrant, infallible, authoritative, sufficient. And so that's it. And so biblical worldview in every classroom at our university, and that's what we're pushing for. That is truth. Everything else has to be compared to it.
I love it. So what part of your job gets you most excited? And it might be related to that, huh?
It could be, yeah. So I love being in chapel with our students. I love spending time with our students and watching that life transformation. It's been a special couple of weeks here on campus too. I don't know if you know what's been going on, but we had a Monday chapel service that lasted the entire day last Monday. And so we didn't break. We just kept going till about 1:00. Students in the chapel worshiping came back together as a community at 8:00 at night and worshiped till I left at 11. They stayed there till after midnight. And so seeing that excitement and that passion for the Word of God, just students wanting to pursue Christ and to do it with excellence. So combine that academic excellence piece right alongside that biblical faithfulness, and let's set these students on fire to go into a world and make a difference for Jesus. That's what gets me excited.
You know, as president of the college, I'm sure you have a lot of business things, but of course it's a Christian college, so it's kind of a ministry. How do you weigh those 2 aspects of ministry and business?
Yeah, so I see what I do as ministry. So my dad's a pastor. My grandfather was a pastor. I surrendered into the ministry to do whatever the Lord called me to do and wanted me to do, and went to seminary and then just never left higher education. And so I operate my job as a pastor, love on people, push the gospel. And then we even encourage all of our students to think about their God-given gifts and their God-given talents, and to align those together in a vocational calling. And so we don't want them thinking about an occupation. We want them thinking about a vocation. And we want them thinking about how God has called them to use their gifts to love him well and to love others well. And that their platform is going to be whatever they're equipped to do. And that's going to be for the gospel. So we want them trained with absolute excellence at the top level, so they'll be the best at what they do, so that when they do it that well, everybody's going to wonder, what's your motivation? Why are you working so hard? Why do you love what you do so much? And it's because we're working as unto the Lord. We're using the gifts he's given us. We're excited about it, and we want to impact lives with that. And so it's all a ministry around here. Like we don't let our students think about a C is not okay if you can get an A. It's all ministry to the Lord. It's all rendered as service unto him and for his glory.
Man, you got me fired up. I might have to go back to school. I got a lot of C's the first time I went through.
Well, yeah, I wasn't that good in high school either, so I shouldn't be here. But yeah, come on.
Awesome. I love that. I mean, the Lord never called a part-time disciple that I could find. So, whether you're in what we consider formal ministry as a pastor, or collecting trash, we're supposed to do all of it unto the Lord and to the best of our abilities. And I think that's if your students take that away from their time there, they'll be earning riches in the kingdom
That's right.
throughout their lives. Of course, that's not why we do it, but that's wonderful. Now, I kind of help with the K through 12 aspect. What are some major challenges of colleges? So I imagine we have a lot of the same type of things that we're working out from a business as a ministry level.
Yeah, we probably do, but I appreciate your K through 12 aspect because my daughter has gone through classical conversations all the way through. She'll be a freshman here at Cedarville. My son will be in Challenge A next year in classical conversations. And so it's huge for our community. So we really appreciate all that's going on there. The challenges that are similar that we have to work through is maintaining excellence in every classroom and finding the right teachers. So we have a doctrinal statement. All of our faculty and all of our staff sign our doctrinal statement so that there's truth in advertising and there's consistency. And so making sure that we can hire those quality people as full-time faculty members here on campus and as adjuncts that really believe it. Because, some schools, it's just a historic statement that nobody actually affirms or that they don't teach against. And then those side hallway conversations undermine everything they've done somewhere else. We want consistency of belief. We want people who are on fire for Christ, excited about what they get to do here. Finding those people is sometimes difficult. And then I think anybody in higher education that's not struggling with the cost of higher education is just fooling themselves. And so higher education in general, as an entire sector of society is in a difficult and I think a long-term unsustainable spot. We have to work on what we can do to make sure that college is affordable and attainable for those who need to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that's coming up on the horizon that you're probably familiar with, I don't know if our listeners would be, but something called the college cliff in 2025, where there weren't that many babies born in 2007, 2008, when there was that financial crisis. And I think the number of students that are just going to be eligible to apply for college is down 10 or 15% from normal. So how are you guys preparing for that?
So we're in one of the worst areas for that. Ohio in the Midwest, Northeast as well. We are not in a good sector for that. But the difference is Cedarville is just booming. I mean, we're growing. So here's what I think is happening. I could be completely wrong, but here's what I think is happening, is that we are standing firm for the gospel of Jesus Christ. And the clearer the message is and the brighter the light is, the more families that are attracted to it from all across the United States. And so our freshman class was up significantly last year. We're up over 5,200 students total. We're seeing 17% growth in our freshman class. And so that's incredible growth over a 1-year time frame. And so we're having more trouble building dorms and getting buildings built so that we have space for the students than we are worrying about that demographic cliff that's coming. One of the things we're trying to do, though, is expand our reach, expand our base. And so we actually did what we called a transformed tour last year. We went all across the country. We went coast to coast. We did 16 or so cities. We did it in about 30 days. We were on a travel bus with a worship team and visiting alumni and having worship services for Jesus and talking about the school and what we're all about and how it makes a difference. And we're seeing more and more students come to Ohio from outside of the Midwest. We're seeing students come from Seattle and Denver and just all across the country. So I think that's going to help us to be able to withstand what's happening at some of the local high school areas.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when I look at the landscape, those who have a backbone and are standing for truth seem to be doing well. And those who are trying to compromise with the world, I think are going to have some trouble, especially as the world continues to deviate from what is truth. Hey, they don't even know what truth is. We all have our own truth now, right, Doctor?
Right.
Now, what are you all doing specifically, though? You mentioned pricing. What are some things that you do to try to make it affordable to everyone?
Yeah. So over the past time that I've been here, we've actually increased our scholarships by $50 million. So that's not a small thing. Yeah, that's a lot of money. And so we got a lot of students coming in, but if we increase those scholarships, that helps the affordability. You really can't just lower your price because then somebody over the next year or that just graduated looks back and goes, are they getting the same degree for less money than what I got? That's an issue. So we're raising scholarships. We're working on raising endowment. And what I would say to a lot of your listeners too is don't look at the sticker price of a lot of the colleges that you're thinking about attending. Look at the college, pray about it, go where you think the Lord wants you to go, and then ask the right questions about financial aid. Get your applications in early. Most schools in higher education waive that application fee to build that enrollment funnel in the early months. So just at the beginning of that senior year, get all those applications sent off to the schools you're interested in, see what the packages come back as. So 100% of our students are going to get financial aid. Those who have done really well in high school with good GPAs, they're going to get substantial academic scholarships. Then you've got athletic scholarships that stack on top of that, need-based scholarships that come in line. And because we're so faith-oriented, we actually even have a ministry scholarship for the children of those who are in full-time ministry. You put all of that aid together, and what you'll find is it's more affordable than you may think it is. Also, jump on that dual enrollment early. That dual enrollment is huge now across the country, and so you can have an entire year knocked out before you ever show up on a college campus. And then also ask the questions about degree completion rates and also about employment rates. Degree completion, 60-something% is a national average. We're at 78% to get you from your freshman to walking across the stage. You want to be at a school that pushes that because you don't want that added year. That added year is going to kill you on the cost. And then you want a job. So when you graduate, you need to be able to have that job so that you can pay back any loans that you've had to have. And hopefully you won't have to have much of that. So ask for that, what's your employment rate? So our employment rate within 6 months of graduation in grad school or in a career is 99%. And so that's just an incredible high employment rate, which means that the employers have seen our students. They like our students. They're coming back to get more of our students. Now, most of them don't understand why. They're coming back for our students because they actually want to work hard, they have integrity, and they treat people well. Well, those are Christian disciplines as much as they're educational disciplines, but they also know how to do their jobs well. And so make sure you're choosing schools like that. If you're doing that, it makes college worthwhile.
Yeah, I 100% agree because a lot of kids I see, their families, they sacrifice for 12 years. Like, we're going to give them a good Christian education, and then they send them to the state school. And then, this happens way more than people want to admit. Their kid comes back 2 years later. They've, halfway, maybe getting through sophomore year. They've stopped going to church. They've abandoned their faith. They've rejected, all that sacrifice their parents have put in. So, that can happen anywhere. But, to me, it's like if you've homeschooled for 12 years or however long, and you saw that was important, continuing that Christian education at the higher ed level is vital. Otherwise, you could, you were faithful, right? You didn't waste those time because you were faithful in what God called you to do. But it definitely hurts a lot of parents when they see just everything that they've done been undermined by an institution they're paying tens of thousands of dollars to on an annual basis. So send them to a Christian school, send them to Cedarville. Obviously, great school, growing quickly. And man, I really am, I don't really think about going back to college very often, but you're firing me up. I like what you're saying. Now, your kids are in CC. One of them's at Cedarville now. Like, how many students do you have that went through classical conversations or are homeschooled at the university? What's the mix of the student body?
So we actually have 27% of our freshman class was homeschooled. Awesome. And so that's a big percentage usually it works out to about a third, anywhere in those range between public school, private school, and homeschool. What we typically have at Cedarville are families that have invested into the faith of their children, and they really want to continue that. And I'm telling you, it's not just what you don't encounter. You go to the secular schools and you get secular humanism, you get LGBTQ, you get CRT, you get all of these different worldviews just inundated, and you get faculty members whose sole purpose is to shoot holes in a biblical worldview in unfair ways. But it's also what you miss. So when you show up at a place like Cedarville and you study human anatomy, you memorize Psalm 139 in your human anatomy class. Like, wow. You're understanding and giving praise to God because you're fearfully and wonderfully made. And it's just an entirely different worshipful atmosphere. You go into your geology class, and our geologist has written on Coconino sandstones and proves how there was a flood and how it's creation and how the Grand Canyon was formed through that. And so you're missing out on so much when you choose that secular model over the Christian model. Homeschoolers are also just doing phenomenal on campus. Their GPAs are great. They're excelling great. I mean, I tell homeschool parents all the time, in homeschool, you're teaching people how to interact with adults. You're teaching them how to think well. You're teaching them how to write well. In CC especially, you're teaching them how to communicate well. And so they can get up and present an idea in a coherent fashion. And then they show up at college, and what do we want them to do? We want them to interact with adults. We want them to write well. We want them to think well. We want them to communicate well. And so it's just a great fit. So if you've got any parents out there homeschooling, worried about, is my kid going to be prepared? The fact you're worried about that means your kid's likely going to be prepared, and homeschoolers are doing great, and CC is great preparation for college.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, we hear that all the time from families and moms. There's like a big sigh of relief if they get their kid into college. If it's that, we believe that there's multiple paths, that you can go on to. But, college is a valid path. And if that's where you're trying to get your kids into, it's like, I've finally been validated by the system. I say, trust me, colleges like Cedarville, I mean, they are actively recruiting classical conversation students because of those things you said. They think, they can interact with their peers and professors. They're respectful. They can communicate well. And, we just see CC students, being successful where they go to college or they go straight into ministry or entrepreneurship, taking a gap year, whatever they need for their specific situation. They've been prepared because parents have put that effort in, and God's gonna, honor that. You mentioned the all night or the chapel, and of course we saw that on Facebook, and of course there's other things going on around the country there. What are some other memorable experiences and events that just really stick out to you about the Cedarville experience?
Yeah, there's one of my students that graduated a few years ago who's getting married in a couple of months, and he's just graduated from PA school, and he's doing great. And the first day he was on campus at our fall Bible conference, we do an invitation. And he came down front his freshman year, very first day on campus, and I had the opportunity to pray with him and lead him to Christ. Now,
Awesome.
Every student at Cedarville on their application has a profession of faith, but we regularly see like 30 students that actually are saved in that first semester because we're really pushing them. You got to own your faith. And I think this is one of the keys for parents too, is we'll tell our students, God has no spiritual grandchildren. You have to own your faith. You have to be able to defend your faith. You have to be able to articulate your faith. Doesn't matter how good mom or dad was. This is you. You got to own it and you got to live it out. And to be able to see students do that and engage with students on a personal level. We have students over at our house all the time. Our house is just a constant influx. We live on campus, and so students are coming and going. We get to know them well. As we get to know them, to see that spiritual growth and to see them start owning it, to see them get excited and passionate about it, and then see them go off and succeed in life. Man, I love it. It just being able to see the light turn on in their eyes as they're understanding that they can live this life for Jesus and make a difference for him. There's nothing better than being able to watch that happen in the eyes and lives of students.
A sad statistic I heard about churches is the average church in the United States sees 1.8 salvations a year. So, and of course, there's millions of people going to church in the United States. But with only a few thousand students at Cedarville, you're seeing 30 in that first semester on a regular basis. Praise the Lord for that.
Every year. Yeah. In fact, we've had 6 professions of faith in the past week and a half on our campus. And these are good kids, and some of them have even grown up in church. But it's that real challenge of, have you made the decision for yourself? Have you genuinely repented of your sins, put your faith and trust in Jesus Christ, clearly articulating to them that it's the imputation of his righteousness on us, our sin on him. And they're realizing, hey, I haven't owned this. I got to own this. And there's nothing better. You got to come visit. You got to come visit. You got to tell all your listeners to come visit. If you're in chapel with 3,000 plus college students who want to be there, and I'm standing on that stage, listening to them sing, and then looking out at their eyes with Bibles open, taking notes during messages because they're hungry for the truth. They want the straight truth. None of this nonsense that's just not playing. It's just not good common logic. And to see that happen and to be part of that, it'll get you more excited. You'll want to move your operation to Cedarville. You can run classical conversations out of our campus here. That'd be awesome.
Well, we'll see what type of rental agreement you'll give us. Tell us, we've talked a little bit about chapel. Is it required? How long is it? How often is it? Obviously it went longer a few weeks ago, but
So we do chapel 5 days a week. And so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 o'clock to 10:50 is just like one of our normal classes. So we're giving the Lord some would consider that the absolute best hour of the day for learning. Everybody's awake by then. It's not 8 o'clock where they're still asleep. They've had their coffee. They're ready to go. And at 10 o'clock, we pause and we say, time out. Let's worship Jesus. Let's focus on the real truth. And so that's one of the distinctives of Cedarville. And we often hear from alumni, that's one of the things that they miss the most. And then some of our other distinctives we have is a profession of faith for every student who comes here, which creates that authentic Christian community for discipleship. It's not an evangelistic or apologetics-based institution. It's a discipleship-oriented institution. And we have a Bible minor for every one of our undergraduate students as well. So they get 5 classes. They have to take the Bible and the gospel. We clarify what the gospel is. We give them an understanding of what proper hermeneutics would be, how to take the text, and the text is king. And we make sure no Bible, no breakfast. That's one of our sayings around here. We want you reading the Bible every single day. You wake up and you're hungry for breakfast. Get in the Word because your soul needs it more than you need to eat breakfast. And so that Bible and the gospel class is first. And then we have Old Testament and New Testament survey classes so they know what the Bible says. And then Systematic Theology 1 and Systematic Theology 2. And that's where we talk about why we believe what we believe and how we can defend that with compassionate conviction in a world and a culture that is just chaotic and just gone crazy. And so we want all of our students to be able to articulate clearly, this is what the Bible says, and this is why I believe what I believe. So those are just some of the distinctives. All faculty and staff sign that doctrinal statement. That's another distinctive. Biblical worldview in every classroom. You put all that together, and you get a special culture on campus that's a greenhouse pushing students towards Christ. And so we want them to be that Psalm 1 Christian. So in that greenhouse, they go those roots that are deep beside rivers of living water in the Word consistently, knowing what they believe, so then they can flourish for the rest of their life. And we want them to go get plugged into a local church and be a producer and not a consumer as well. And so it doesn't stop there. We want that Christian community just built into their lives in such a way they can't live without it.
Has Cedarville always offered or required a biblical minor of their students, or is that something that you've initiated? Or
yeah, that's always been here. So we've always done that, and signing the doctrinal statement, that's unique as well. So as you're checking out those schools, make sure you know whether the faculty sign it or don't sign it. And then we have discipleship groups on campus too. We'll have 1/3 of our students any given semester in a voluntary discipleship group. So they get chapel 5 days a week, a Bible minor, a biblical worldview in every class. Our resident directors and resident assistants are focused on discipleship in the dorms. And then they sign up to be part of what we call D groups, discipleship groups in addition, building additional community, going through books of the Bible or going through a Christian author and walking through that so they can spur themselves on for even more spiritual growth. And so it's, at your secular universities, they're doing everything they can to push you in the wrong direction. We're doing everything we can to push you in the right direction. And, a student can fight against it and go the wrong direction, even at a place like Cedarville. But we want to make it absolutely as hard as possible for them to do so.
What are, can you tell us a little bit, what are some of the popular majors, or what do you see your students, taking and then going on to? Because we talked about graduating on time and finding those jobs. So what do you guys specialize in?
So nursing is one of our biggest majors. When you have nurses that love the Lord and they're doing it because they love the Lord, it makes a difference in how they do their job. And the hospitals recognize that. Engineering, another big one. And so we have all sorts of different areas, mechanical, civil, electrical, computer. So a lot of engineering students. In business, we're building a brand new business building, a $40 million business building here on campus, focusing on entrepreneurship in that business building, focusing on free market enterprise. Also got a Center for Cybersecurity going in there. Cybersecurity is one of our top programs. One of 20 schools in the nation certified as a Center of Academic Excellence by the NSA. And so if you come to Cedarville and do cybersecurity, you're guaranteed a job before you ever walk across the stage. And they're trying to hire you when you're in your sophomore year, give you a scholarship just to get you to work for them for a couple of years. And so business, engineering, nursing, education, Bible is another big major for us. And then we've got a PharmD program where you could become a pharmacist, a PA program, MBA programs, things of that nature. So 150 different areas. So another thing for your listeners to think through as they're looking at colleges is if you're going to change majors, you don't want to have to change universities. You want to go to a school that you can change within the university so you're not losing time. So we got 150 of them around here. So whatever the Lord's calling them to do, we're going to help align those God-given passions and those God-given gifts and then set them on that trajectory to glorify the Lord the rest of their life.
I'm glad that you guys have that cybersecurity. There's another Christian college, I won't mention them on here, that is also one of those 20 certified. So maybe we'll be able to take tech back through the cybersecurity realm with get all the Christians on that end. So that's super important, especially with just all the things that are, of course, going on today that we're aware of. And I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that we're not aware of. So thank you for that. You talked a little bit about the community life at Cedarville. Like, what's the athletics? Do you guys have intramurals and a gym? Do you have a lazy pool? Like, tell us about they're going to chapel. They got these D groups. They're getting a great education. They're getting pushed to love the Lord. But I'm guessing they have some downtime.
That's right. So we have NCAA D2 athletics, 16 different athletic areas. So they'll come together and we'll cheer for our soccer teams and basketball teams and volleyball teams. We have orgs on campus, that's what we call them. And so there are over 100 different orgs. Some of those orgs are ministry orgs. And so they're going to go into your local jails and do ministry or minister to refugee kids. Some of them are just fellowship or service orgs. Alpha Chi is one that I work with, is a service org. And so they go out and just help serve in the community. And then some of them are just for fun. Like there's one org that just goes all over the place eating pizza. And so that's what they do together as friends. And there's another one that they bring dogs and puppies on campus and they help train dogs for service dogs. And so whatever you're into, you can get into that between the orgs, the discipleship groups, between all the sporting events. And then we also have a lot of just events on campus, student life, because it's residential. We are residential, face-to-face, in-person discipleship. And so we'll do things like Campus Christmas. We have a talent show at the end of the year called A Leave. We'll do an alt night. So like this Friday night, we're showing Minions, The Rise of Gru in our chapel. We're just doing fun stuff. And so we believe that the school ought to have biblical faithfulness, academic excellence, and be the most fun, clean fun a student's ever had during their 1,000 days. So we want them numbering those days so that they gain a heart of wisdom. And then we want to make them the best days of their life. At least if we can do that, that's our goal and that's our effort.
Well, I'll send my 8-year-old and 6-year-old to come watch The Rise of Gru with you.
All right, come on. Yeah.
Put them on a plane tonight. Before we conclude, like what are the visiting opportunities? How do they get there? Do you have you mentioned about applying in the fall or apply early your senior year to get additional opportunities. But yeah, just if parents heard this or they know, or someone listening knows a friend that has a rising senior, what's the next steps?
Yeah, so cedarville.edu is the website, cedarville.edu. If they go there, we have visit days, we have preview days, so they can come on a CU Fridays, what we call it, or on President's Day in the spring at CU Monday. They can check out what we're doing. So chapel is online. They can watch all of them. They can see that for free. We're even putting our Bible Miner online for free. And so right now we have 3 of those classes up. They can take those classes to see what's being taught in Old Testament, Systematic 1, Systematic 2. We'll have the others up here in short order. And so parents can walk through the Bible Miner with their student, or if they want to make sure we're the real deal, here you go. Check it out. It's free. You can enjoy it. Dual enrollment also is huge. We do that nationwide. And so plug into a biblical worldview and check that out. And then on the graduate side, those who are working with Classical Conversations actually get a 15% discount on any of our grad programs because the partnership's there, because we love what you guys do. And so we would just encourage them to check that out. Plan a visit. You can't understand Cedarville till you show up on campus. You show up on campus and you see all of the backpacks left outside of the cafeteria while the students are eating, and you realize this place is different. You walk in chapel and you see 3,000 students worshiping the Lord, and you understand that it's a greenhouse for the Lord. It's God's greenhouse. We're just trying to grow our students and be good stewards. And so we would love to have you come visit if you're interested.
All right. Well, I'm going to steal the Psalm 1 Christian. I'm going to steal this greenhouse analogy. I love them both. I really appreciate our conversation today, Dr. White. So be sure to check out cedarville.edu or Cedarville University.
Cedarville.edu. That's it.
Yeah, you even spelled it out for us. Cedarville.edu. Are you guys on Facebook and Instagram and all those fun things if people want to check
We're
it
there.
out?
Yep,
Yeah.
they can check us out.
All right, Dr. White, thank you so much for your time today. I know I enjoyed our conversation. Definitely, if you have a Christian homeschool kid in classical conversations, or even if you're not in CC and you're listening to this and you want your kid to continue to get a Christian education in a greenhouse, become a Psalm 1 Christian, check out Cedarville today and go schedule a visit. So God bless and have a great day. Congratulations, you've made it to the end of the world, at least according to Greta Thunberg and her tweet that she has now deleted on June 21st, 2018, that said, a top climate scientist is warning that climate change will wipe out all of humanity unless we stop using fossil fuels over the next 5 years. Now, obviously, we have made it past that point. Yet again, another greeny idea that was put out there with a date that we have now passed the date, and what they claimed was going to happen has not happened. Unfortunately, when you look at the research that from Gen Z, you see a lot of them are anxious and overwhelmed about this idea of the world ending because of fossil fuels and needing to go green and getting them out of their lives. What a lot of people do not understand is almost everything we touch day to day now has some fossil fuels in it. Your phone, tires on your car, asphalt that you drive on, your computer, your headphones, all of these things, your clothes, many of them have fossil fuels in it. So even if we were able to snap our finger today and make it so all cars were electric, that would not solve the problem of needing to get fossil fuels out of the ground, needing to refine them, and using them for our plastics, for rubbers, for all of these synthetic materials. It is an agent that is used in a significant part of your life, and we need to be good stewards of our resources. We have a mandate in Genesis to take dominion over the world, and we can do that wisely without buying the new Green Deal hype and without creating a generation of individuals who become anxious and depressed and have all sorts of different issues because they think the world around them is ending because of their use of fossil fuel. So let's keep on doing the Dominion mandate and keep being good stewards of the resources the Lord's given us, and let's reject the lies of the Green New Deal. Hey everyone, I want to tell you about Classical Conversations Plus, a service that would have been very beneficial to me when I was in high school, but it wasn't around. I had to drive to the local college in order to get some college classes in while I was in high school, while taking my Classical Conversations courses at the same time. How would you like your student to receive college credit for the coursework that they are already completing in their Classical Conversations Challenge program? Through a partnership with Southeastern University and by utilizing a concurrent enrollment model, Classical Conversation Plus offers a range of courses for students in Challenge 2, 3, and 4, such as college-level composition, chemistry, American history, and Western civilization. Here's the great news. Simply by submitting their assignments for these challenge-level courses online to be graded by a real SAU assessor, your student can earn college credit that transfers to most higher ed institutions. As if that's not enough, these flexible online courses are also very affordable, coming in at a fraction of the cost that most colleges charge for general education courses. Seats for CC Plus's concurrent enrollment courses fill up fast, so be sure to register soon and reserve a spot at classicalconversationsplus.com. And if this is your first time hearing about CC Plus's program, there are also opportunities for CC graduates and parents to earn undergraduate and master's degrees online. So if you or your student want to take your education to the next level, be sure to check out all CC Plus has to offer at classicalconversationsplus.com. That's classicalconversationsplus.com for more information. See you there.
Welcome to Classical Crypto with Will. Today is June 22nd. Let's dig into crypto and find some current events. This has been a wild battle, in my opinion, between decentralized finance and centralized finance. This has gone on for a while, but especially in the last 2 to 3 years, there has been a wild back and forth. My job is to express my opinion, dig into a lot of the facts, and try to make sense of some of this. So we're seeing the end of fiat currency. Most people, 99% of the population, doesn't know or doesn't really care about what's going on behind the scenes. But you, the 1%, should have at least an interest in knowing and researching. So this is what I can come up with, and this is what has been in the news. Last week, BlackRock, the largest asset holder in the world, filed for an ETF on Bitcoin. If it's approved, that would help everyday Americans like you and I have more exposure to Bitcoin. This is a signal to the world that crypto is here to stay. Well, then just yesterday, June 21st, our good friend Jerome Powell, he's the chair of the Federal Reserve, so he's the big guns. He comes out for the first time ever and says, crypto has staying power. Crypto's here to stay. Well, I thought the government and the Fed and the SEC, who's been suing Ripple and suing everyone, Coinbase, everyone under the sun, I thought they've been trying to crush crypto to get it out of here. And now there's some signal. You're signaling to the market that, oh, crypto's cool all of a sudden. Very interesting. I didn't want to get into too many conspiracy theories, but to touch on it, this narrative is strange. To really put the foot down on crypto and then start to release it like everything's good. So let's dig in a little bit and see what's happening. So I found this article on the IMF, and it's from the perspective of one of their lead advisors. His name is Tobias Adrian. He is their financial counselor, of probably one of many, at the IMF. IMF stands for the International Monetary Fund. This is one of the big guys. These are global players. This is outside. US is huge, but outside of the US. He was expressing that the IMF has come together with World Bank, Bank of International Settlements, and the Global Financial Stability Board. So those 4 giant players have come together to solve cross-border payments. So with fiat currency, if you were trying to convert dollars to pesos and send it to a family member, for example, in Mexico, that is a long, strenuous process. You have conversion fees. You're basically just feed to death, and it's slow. Now with cryptocurrency, if you want to send some Bitcoin or whatever crypto to a friend or whatever in England, it's almost instantaneous. Like, that is the power of blockchain technology. This is a revolution that's happening behind the scenes largely right now. And hopefully we'll get more crypto adoption globally here soon. But he's saying that these 4 major players have come together to solve this, and they've been working on this for the last few years, and he's been advising them. Now, what was scaring me was at first it looked like they were going to try to come out with a global currency, one CBDC. Well, who controls it? CBDCs are terrifying in a lot of ways, in my opinion. And again, it's not decentralized technology. It would be centralized crypto where someone can control the supply. And it'd be smart money. Whose account is it? They could withdraw taxes automatically. They could tie it into a global social credit system. These things are very scary and troubling. Thankfully, it looks like he's been advising them and they're steering away from that because no one can get on the same page. Russia's coming out with their own CBDC. China already has theirs. It's awful. Several countries in Africa are coming out with theirs. The US is coming out with Fed now. Like, everyone's going different directions. So they're going, hold on, let's be smart about this. And as global financial institutions, what are we going to do for compliance? How are we going to help all these countries come together? Well, he has expressed in this that they are working on a middleware cryptocurrency for settlement. So you could have I don't know if it's going to be called the Fed coin or what it's going to be called in the US, but we will have a CBDC, unfortunately. Whatever that is, if you want to convert that to whatever the cryptocurrency is in England, you can do that instantaneously online, send it over, but there has to be a conversion technology. And in this article, he's saying that basically they're interviewing Ripple, XRP. That's the only cryptocurrency he brings up at this global level. Well, guess what? The only crypto that's been heavily attacked for years, last 2-3 years, which crypto is that? It's Ripple. It's XRP. It's a little bit devious, but I'm wondering if these banks and global banks didn't understand blockchain, sued Ripple to suppress the price, have slowly bought in so they could control it, slowly brought themselves up to date. This is private market technology, right? The government, world government, they're so slow. I think they had to slow things down, understand it. Now they're coming in to control cross-border payments. That's my opinion. I do not have proof of that. But I think it's very interesting here on a global level. State level, different companies, everyone's excited about this crypto and Bitcoin and this or not. I'm looking at the global level, and they're looking, and it looks like Ripple, XRP is involved everywhere. So I advise, educate yourself. Digital money is coming quickly. If that settlement was XRP, that would be very interesting. So we'll see what happens, but this narrative is changing from the throat of crypto getting crushed into the ground to our government, global government, BlackRock, banks, asset managers. They're starting to signal a green light in crypto again. So interesting times. Stay alert, trust God, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Wow, I had a lot of fun with Dr. White today. Really just excited about the college landscape with the fact that we have Christian colleges that are committed to that biblical worldview. They are out there, people. They are worth it to send your kids to. So if you enjoyed this episode or have a friend that may have a high schooler or someone entering high school soon, be sure to send them this episode. Subscribe and tune in next week as we continue our college series.
Thank you for listening to Refining Rhetoric with Robert Bortons. Want more? Make sure to subscribe so you won't miss an episode. You can also follow us on social media to continue the conversation, and visit classicalconversations.com/rhetoric to find out how you can join a local homeschool community.